Hi guys, welcome back. And this week I'm joined by Natalia Kostrzewa, who runs Owning It Acting Studios in London. She has had a huge variety of experience across TV and film, including Fool Me Once, Black Mirror, Casualty, Out There, a huge amount of experience on screen, and is able to talk to us about self-tape techniques, how to make your self-tape stand out, also what to do on set, and just typically some extra bits of advice about acting on screen. So let's get into the episode. Amazing. So this week I am with Natalia talking about Owning It Acting Studio and all of her creative adventures. And so thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. How are you feeling today?
I'm very warm.
Yeah.
I ran here, so I'm a bit sweaty.
Sit out of breath. There's a big hill actually on the way
Yeah.
here. Yeah, it's a bit of a big hill actually. Yeah, that's true. And then I made you climb more stairs as well.
And there's zero. I don't work out, so this was my workout. I feel like I did it.
Well, it was
I
your
did
warm up.
well.
It was your warm up for today. That's it.
Yeah.
So how long has so Owning It? We'll describe what Owning It is. Do you want to take over and say what is Owning It Acting Studio?
It's mainly I'm doing screen acting classes. I call it the gym because I feel it's good for actors too. It's like a muscle that you need to exercise.
Yeah.
And it's once a week, and we focus on self-tape practice, but it mixes with practical things that you can use on set as well. So it's a mixture of basically screen acting.
And is it like drop-in classes or
drop-in? No commitment.
That's lovely.
Yeah,
it's really hard to find drop-in acting classes.
I know, and I feel like there should be more of them, because sometimes you just don't click with the teacher or the atmosphere, or it's not good to commit for long-term classes. I don't think.
No.
I think it's good to be very picky.
Yeah, and I think if there's a particular skill that you want to learn, maybe like a 6-week burst of a class or set of classes would be beneficial to you. But yeah, I think if you're like you're saying, if it's a gym, it's something that you kind of want to just drop into and just keep those muscles just moving, really, because sometimes you don't always get the opportunity to be on set all the time. Well, that's pretty normal to be
98%.
Yeah, exactly. So when did it start, and why did you start it?
Do you want the long controversial version?
Yeah, let's go for that.
Gossip.
That sounds fun.
So in April last year, a friend of mine said, "Do you want to go to a screen acting class?" And I thought, wow, I actually haven't been in like 10 years or so. And I've never been in the UK in an acting class because I lived in Ireland for many years. So I only went to classes and studied there. So I thought, okay, well, I'm quite intrigued. And I expected a really high level of classes.
Of course, yeah.
And I went in and I was very disappointed by every aspect of the class. So first of all, obviously I'm not going to say which class.
Obviously not, yeah, no.
But what I didn't like about it was that they gave the same script to everyone. So I already feel like you setting up some people to fail, because it's impossible for a 18-year-old to play a 40-year-old. Not on screen, anyway. So that's a huge disadvantage. Plus, if you're giving everyone the same scene, people sometimes get to be competitive, which just breeds this toxic environment. And as well, if you're not one of those actors who's like super confident, you see that, oh, Mary got really good feedback on this chunk, I'm going to do it like she did it. Or do you it's not your own.
And
then.
It's probably not really tailored to you in those ways. Do you know what I mean? Like,
maybe to few people who suit the age and the playing type, but not the full class. And it was a class of, including me, 16 people.
That's a lot of people,
I was like 3 hours. That means, doing the math, it's like 10 minutes per person. I don't think you can do very good work in 10 minutes. And you're paying 35 quid? This is crazy. And the cherry on top was that, and this happens all the time in London, and I'm really surprised by this, that they don't tell you who's the facilitator of the class.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just say, industry professional. And you're
You'll get
like,
what you're given.
who the hell is this person? So you go, okay, I'm gonna go. And then you find out their name, you Google them and go, they've done like a handful of short movies that didn't win any awards. They played not even lead characters. Like, is blind leading the blind? This is crazy. And I have been thinking about, it was somewhere in the back of my mind that, I think I would like to run a class.
Yeah.
But in my Eastern European mind, I thought, maybe I'm just not good enough. Or maybe I don't have enough experience. So then when I went to this class, I was like, hell, I got enough experience.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And by June, I opened my own thing. And it's been going really well. And I've surprised myself because actually, I think I'm quite good at it.
Yeah.
Which is surprising. Because it's one thing to like, okay, let me try this. And okay, I have the experience. But am I able to actually share it?
It's another thing to teach, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's another thing
100%.
to teach. It's like it's a different sort of skill, definitely, to be making it accessible.
And I know some people will say, but some people can't do, they can teach, whatever that saying is. Yeah. But I'm like, yeah, I'm sure they exist, but why the hell would you like to pay them 35 quid?
Yeah.
If they, like, whatever they can teach me, I can probably read in a book.
Yeah.
Because they don't have that practical experience. And this is why, again, I don't believe in competition, because I feel, what are you going to steal from me? Like, you're going to steal the structure of my class? Go. Take it. Improve it. But it's me. That's the value, because of all the experiences over the years, different sets, different parts, the small parts, the bigger parts, and the differences on the dynamics on set when you play a bigger part or a smaller part. Like, that's priceless. Yeah. So
and I think you do a really good job of making your acting studio very personable as well.
I want to do that, yeah.
By, doing, you give a lot out, which is great. I was having a look at your the Instagram page, and it's good. And I think, like you said, you want to know who you're being taught by, you want to connect with them, and I'm guessing you're building sort of an acting community as well at the same time, which is nice. That's
so important to me, because I feel this industry is so hard.
It's so lonely hard as well at times. It can be really lonely.
Yeah. And when you're a young actor, and I mean not by age even, but young in the industry, because I have
inexperienced.
Inexperienced. You're so vulnerable. You just want somebody to say it's gonna be okay and go this way. Yeah. So that's why I feel you have to be so careful who your teacher is, because and only now, being older, I can look back and see, I had really toxic, not all of them. I had some amazing teachers, but I also had some teachers who had their egos not in check, and they were obviously a very frustrated actors. So I think you have to be very careful. Yeah.
And so how many then, you mentioned obviously there were 16 in that previous. How many do you have in your class then?
8.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's very,
so it's
very
half
specific.
an hour. And I do it for 4 hours, so it's like half an hour per person.
Oh my god, go here! This sounds amazing.
Because this is the thing. Like, I don't make much. I charge 25 quid, and then when you make the calculation and think about paying the venue and all, I don't make much money out of it. But the satisfaction and the I don't know. That's
you enjoy it.
Priceless.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. Okay, let's talk about the structure of owning it then, and then how does your typical class go?
So first of all, you book a ticket, and in the booking you're going to give me your spotlight details, and then I will go on your spotlight. I will look through your showreel if you have it, your age, and just I will get the flavor of you. I will try my very best, and I used to want to be a casting director, so I feel like
this is where
I'm quite good at
it.
Yeah. I don't always nail it, but when I do. So I will pick a scene for you based on that. And then in class, I separate the viewers from the performer.
Okay.
So I put the backdrop, basically. I isolate them, because first of all, for the performer, I never want the feeling of theater And I feel when you have an audience as an actor, you're immediately like, oh,
I'm going to present to everybody.
Yeah, I need to present. And then you go, no. So I try to completely eliminate that struggle. Yes. And then for people who are viewing in the class, I don't want them, because it's our human nature, if there's a juicy part or something, we just look at the person, we don't look at the screen. So I want to not give them an option. They can only look at the screen. And what the camera sees and what our eyes see, very different. So I separate them.
But that's more beneficial, isn't it? Because that's what we do. We watch the screen.
Yeah.
We don't watch, like, we don't get the privilege of watching.
But if you had the choice, I guarantee, because I've seen it happen all the time, people just go at the actor instead of the screen.
That's so strange.
They really do.
That's so
every
strange.
time. So that's why I don't give them a choice. Yeah. And then you get your first take, and I give you complete freedom in terms of whether you want to be sitting, you want to be standing. I want you to do it the way you would if this was your self-tape at home. And I give them kind of limited information about the backstory of the character of the project. Okay. Sometimes I give them a bit, sometimes I give them zero.
And why is that?
Because I want to replicate how often we get those self-tapes where we don't even know if this is a bloody comedy or we don't know anything because there's so many NDAs and all that. And you're like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah, what am I going for here?
Yeah. So it's to practice those instincts and going, okay, fuck it. I don't know if this is gonna be right, but I'm just gonna do it this way because I feel it that this is the right way. Yeah. So I want them to have that confidence in it. And then after the first take, I give them a little bit of more information. Not too much to overwhelm them, but enough to make a change in the second take. We do the second take, and then we move on to the next person. And after everybody got their 2 takes, we circle back to the first person, and then they get to pick whether we watch the first or the second take. And I always tell them that please do not stress about the first 2 takes. They don't matter. They really don't. Okay. They're just there for you to fucking relax. Okay. So you can make sure you know your lines. Yeah. And then you can go, oh my God, okay. Yeah. Everything is going to be okay.
We've been through it a couple of times where we're there. Yeah.
But the real work, I really believe, it's when we see it, when we view it on the big screen, and we go, oh, that didn't land. Or I thought it felt like this, but actually it translates to this. Yeah. And now we are working on technical aspects as well for self-taping, like eye lines, creating the atmosphere of a self-tape. I think that's so crucial, and so many actors completely bypass that. And I give them more direction. And technically I say, you get another take, but if I don't feel like we grasped it, then we do it again. And then we watch it straight away again to see what landed and what didn't.
No, it sounds great.
I think it's the only way to learn. Yeah. Because if you're not gonna watch it and then have the opportunity to do it straight away again, it's like, well, thanks for your feedback, but what am I gonna do with this? Especially with places that send you the footage, so you act and then they send you the footage afterwards, and you're like, well, thanks. Yeah. What am I gonna do with this? I got a recording of myself. Great. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, they sound great. That sounds really good, like detailed work, definitely. So let's talk about self-tapes. Yeah. That's obviously a big part of all of our jobs. That's the first introduction that we get to most situations. It's the first time that directors, casting directors, producers, they all see us on that. It is now becoming more accepted that self-tape is the way to go for a first round audition now.
Absolutely, and I like that.
Yeah, it's
Don't
nice.
waste my time.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but it's true, and it's nice to have that option. And I think sometimes you might feel a little bit more comfortable in your own home or wherever you're, wherever you're performing. And even theatre nowadays is actually going towards self-tapes.
I have mixed feelings about that one.
It's difficult, right? Yeah, it's very difficult. But let's talk about, what do you think a good self-tape setup might look like? It's hard.
It's hard because I realize that we all have heard this thing that probably all of casting directors will say, oh, just have a white plain backdrop backdrop. You know, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Your performance matters.
Yeah.
But have you ever tried watching 50 self-tapes in a row and seeing some bad setups? And you're basically, your attention span is like, I'm fading.
Yeah.
So I do think that having a more professional setup, making things look nice, will go into your... It's not going to guarantee you're going to get the part. Of course not. But it will definitely, in my opinion, catch the... Attention. Whomever is viewing it, their attention. And sometimes that's all that it takes, you know, a little bit of attention. And I realize that people will go, oh, but I can't afford it. The amount of actors I speak to who already have the equipment, but they just don't know how to use it. They never bothered. And there's so much information for free.
Yes, there is.
On YouTube tutorials, how to set up lighting. So it's interview lighting, for example, a 3-point lighting, and how to set it up. And you'd be like, oh God, I can use the lamp that I have at home, actually, for it to be like a hair light. And you can absolutely make things look good on a low budget.
Yeah,
I believe so.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those really annoying traits that when you've finished drama school, or you might not have even been to drama school, but you want to go. Nobody teaches you that, but also you think, well, I'm a performer, I shouldn't have to do all this technical crap. But you do.
Yeah, but I would actually argue that the more you know about every single aspect of filmmaking, it will make you a better actor.
Yeah.
Because on set, you go, that's my key light. Okay, I know exactly where to stand, so I look good. So if I have a key moment where I don't want the character to be seen, I will go into the shadow. And then in that key moment, I will turn to the light, and it's going to be so powerful on camera. Like, and after a while, it's like driving.
Yeah.
Once you know these things, you don't go, key light. You just know, you feel it, that it's there.
Yeah.
So getting into that point, the more you practice, and I know on set, like, we're not always on set, okay? But this is why classes are good, and it's good to film yourself at home.
Yes. Yeah, no,
do it.
Me and my friend are going to start doing that recently, because she was like, I need to get better at just self-tapes. And I was like, well, just get a load of scripts together.
Yes.
And we'll just keep filming and just keep going that way. Because
that's exactly the gym is for,
Yeah, you just have to keep going with it and practice. And then also, I think when you get a self-tape in, I used to stress and be like, oh, I've got to do this.
People
I've
hate
got to do
them.
this. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. But actually, the more you do it, it's a very quick setup.
Yes.
Because you're like, okay, bam, 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 all done, ready. Providing that you know your lines and everything like that.
Yes,
but that's that's just a given. But yeah, so all those things definitely. So I know we've spoken about how to make. I don't know if there is a thing. There might not be a thing to make your self-tape stand out. But is there anything to do that? I know you've mentioned sort of maybe a more professional setup that might help.
I think if you go into your recording thinking, how can I make it stand out? You're going to make bad decisions.
Yeah.
That are going to you're going to go into that trap of...
Let's do something shocking.
Yeah, and you go, oh no.
No.
However, I think the rule is that, I mean, there's no rules, but I feel this has happened many times to me, where I felt it in my guts that I have to film it this way, and it's gonna be so much more powerful this way.
Yeah.
And working with people as well, I've had plenty of moments where I was like, oh, I think we need to film it this way, because this is what will show the character without you doing anything particular. And so a great example that everyone can Google is Stranger Things.
Okay.
You know that, I can't remember his name, you might have to Google
it.
The guy that dances and his self-tape.
Yes.
He's meant to be in a car.
Yeah.
And racing the car.
Yeah.
So he found a way, and I do this all the time because I think it's so good. What's the energy of the scene? What do I need to show? I can't be in the car. This is gonna look stupid if I'm miming a car.
It's also quite restrictive if it's going to be something a bit more,
He needs to be crazy and like, so he was dancing. And that, I was like, that's exactly the essence.
You'll know. What's the guy from Stranger Things that did that self-tape?
Is it Montgomery? He has a weird name.
David Montgomery.
What?
The blonde guy.
Yes.
Yeah, that guy.
Big guy.
Big guy. There you go.
All
right.
Yeah. No, definitely. That is an example of it. But it's a fine line, isn't it, between...
But only if you feel it in your guts.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Because I think also people might see that, because that kind of, I feel like that clip of that self-tape kind of went round
Went
the whole
viral.
acting community very quickly, and I think that might make some actors be like, right, okay then,
I can do whatever I want.
I'll make it really different, and sometimes that's just not the requirement.
But this is the language, you see. I make it different. That's the wrong way to go. It's going, I feel in my guts, this is how I can show this character. Yeah. I think that's the way you have to think about it, instead of going shock factor. No, that's a trap.
Very true. And so let's talk about your screen experience, because you've done loads, which is amazing. You've been in, I have a little look, Line of Duty, you've been in Fool Me Once, you've been in Black Mirror, done lots of things. So obviously I know that on your Instagram account you usually put like what the self-tape was that originally happened, and then the actual scene, which I love. And I'm wondering how different those performances, or what the process is for those performances to get to that stage, because sometimes they're not that dramatically different.
Sometimes they're not, and sometimes they are.
But sometimes they are. So I'm wondering, how different is it once you filmed your self-tape, you've arrived on set, and then the director's now working with you, type thing?
I think, and this is something I observe often in the gym, that actors put themselves in this trap of a box where the same story with callbacks. Where they go, oh, this is how I did it on my self-tape, so this is how I'm going to do it. And then they arrive either on set or on a callback, and they go, great, we love what you did, and now we're going to do something completely different.
And people go, oh my god.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I'm fucked. Because now, this is how I prepare, okay? This is like, no. I need like 24 hours to prep now. This is a different thing. And there's just no time. And I feel that's why it's so important in callbacks to be flexible, to not actually have a set way that you're going to do it. Same on set, because then your partner might be like, whoa, he's playing it completely different than what I thought in my head. So you never lock yourself. I'm going to say this line this way.
Yeah. And I mean, most people might know this, but there's always a rehearsal before you're filming your scene and stuff like that. And that's your time really to sort of experiment rather than on set. Would you agree?
Yeah, although I think it's, I don't know, because like when, obviously you don't do anything outrageously different in terms of continuity, but I think it's not a bad idea to have different flavors in different takes, because then you're giving a wonderful job to the editor who's going to go, ooh, if I get a little bit of this and a little bit that, and I'm going to create that, because films are made 3 times, right? The script, the shooting, and then the editing. And the last one I think is the most fascinating, because they can really make your performance shine. But you have to give them options. If you just play it one way, then it's a bit like, okay.
Yeah, that's a nice tip. That is a nice tip. So I think people think...
But nothing outrageous.
Yes.
Because continuity. Okay.
I think, like your physicality actions, they have to be quite fluid and similar and choreographed. But like you said, intentions, how you say things, your emotion behind your eyes.
And it's nice for the other actor as well. Because suddenly they're like, ooh,
this is something different.
Yeah, let's play.
It's a bit different to do. Yeah.
Let's tango.
So what does it look like to walk on a set for maybe, let's say, TV or something like that? What's the first typical day like, do you think?
I think it differs when it's, are you a big part or are you a tiny part? You know, because I think it's always tougher when you have a smaller part.
Let's talk about that then, because I feel like most people will be having a day player role probably as their first role. And a day player role is literally what it says on the tin. You are there for the day.
For the day. And I play plenty of those.
Yes. Yeah. It's the majority of what a first working actor usually gets, to be honest. You might have a scene, you might have 1 line, you might have 2 lines. You are literally there just for the day. And what would that look like?
When you have a smaller part, you have a little bit less involvement in the pre-production. You might not be there for the table read. You might have not met anyone before. So you do go in like, I hope everybody will be nice. And it's not always the case, so you have to prep yourself for that.
Yeah.
That not allowing the atmosphere of either the other actors, but sometimes even the crew might not get along, and you're like, oh, the vibe here is frosty.
Yeah, and you have to not let it affect your performance. Yeah.
Where when you have a bigger part, you've been there since probably day one. You know everybody. You have that shorthand with people. It's much easier for sure. And this is why it's so important when you've done both sides to always remember to be the nicest person you can for the day players.
Yeah, I feel like that definitely because I don't know, like you do feel a bit like you're walking on eggshells, and it's really hard walking into a space anyway and doing a day player role and just acting, and then you're gone for the day, so you don't really have that time to feel comfortable, to feel like you can, you're walking into an unknown space for the day, and they go, right, this is your part, and you really want to make it great, but there's lots of external things going on, isn't there?
But I think we have to remember, maybe this will sound silly, but I believe we are artists. I really do. So remember that you are as important. Seriously, you are.
Yeah, you've got a part to play in this as well.
Absolutely. Even if you're just pushing the plot line, you're pushing the plot line.
Yeah, they wouldn't have cast you otherwise. That part wouldn't have existed.
So if there's time and all that, if you feel, fuck, I can do it better, just say it.
Okay.
Just say it to the director. Sorry, can I say, this is your drink, Mr. Bond, again? Because I did it in a kind of, now I'm relaxed, can I do it again? Yeah. And 99% of the time they go, yeah, of course, show me what you can do. And I feel like a lot of actors, me included as well, when I'm there for just one day, it's like, oh, where can I? And I think
you feel like you have to be the ultimate people pleaser and not. I mean, like you still have to be obviously polite, professional, kind, and all those things, but simple requests like that. Yeah. I mean, I still probably would feel nervous about asking whether to do a take again, but yeah, that's a really nice note.
Unless there's, it's 5 minutes to 6 and we have to wrap at 6 and they're not going to go overtime, then maybe
possibly
don't.
not.
Okay. Freaking do that thing with
no. And I suppose what a typical day sometimes looks like is a lot of waiting.
When you do smaller parts, this is the thing that you don't realize when you're playing the lead. You're like, oh fuck, there's no downtime. I'm never in my trailer.
Okay.
It's exhausting, like it's full, it's like a marathon.
Yeah.
You feel, and it's like, very long hours as well. So by the end, you're like, I have lost weight.
I'm skinny now.
Yeah. I'm a shadow of myself. Yeah. So I think a lot of people, you always want to be the lead. I don't necessarily want to be the lead. I can be the supporting. I would like the nice arc, Yeah. I don't need to be the lead.
Yeah, it's a lot of
pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
Definitely. And how much do you think, though? Well, I don't know. I actually don't know the answer to this. So how much do scripts change on the day, or does it always follow this call sheet plan? Like you say, you're constantly on set if you're maybe a bigger part and stuff like that. Does it run like clockwork or not?
Depends on the production, honestly. The bigger the budget, the slower, the more time they have. So instead of shooting something in 2 hours, they're gonna shoot it in 4. So they can relax and
take the time.
But that's because they have a big budget. If you have a tiny little budget, you're like, we need to cram as much as possible. So you need to be ready.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was like Bill Nye was like, I have to be ready from the moment I leave my trailer to go to makeup, and then I'm on set and I'm already ready. I can't be like getting ready during makeup or getting ready during this. I'm already in the zone.
I mean, some people can fucking play to that.
Yeah, that's a long time to sort of just be in that
Have
zone.
you heard about this, what's his name, Caine? He was in Succession.
Oh,
he would learn his lines. Like, oh, damn, I would love that.
He's got like photographic memory or something. Yeah.
I'd love my brain to be like that, because in a way, I admire that, because how freeing.
Yes.
That he can
that's
just
the main thing, isn't it? Yeah, and he does seem like that type of person that's very spontaneous.
Yeah.
It's very like well, we'll get it if we get it.
Yeah.
There's me like, I know what this is.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that I do this and this. And but I think that's probably what makes him so great. I mean, he's fantastic. He's really great.
I think he knows who he is.
Yeah.
And he just is.
And he doesn't apologise for it.
Yeah.
He's just
and
that.
I really think this is the key. That's all it is. Just trying to figure out who you are as a person and just be that.
Yeah.
Just on screen.
I think the industry gets far easier the more you're in it and the older you get. Definitely. Yeah. It's one of the things, and you take such ownership. Even like, I mean, I've been out of drama school 5 years now, and my ownership of my own career is so much better now than when it was when I first graduated, because it was like, oh, I won't ask what I want, I won't ask what I need in the audition room, and I won't do this and I won't do that. And
same in the audition room.
Yeah, like,
if you feel like you fucked it up, say it.
Yeah.
And say, can I have another one? And most of the time they will go, because we want you to be good.
Yeah, they want to stop the search, probably. Yeah, no, it's very, very true.
Take ownership, own it.
Yeah, definitely.
Boom. That's why the name.
Yeah.
Own it.
That is true. Yeah. Very, very true. So, what top tips would we have for acting on screen? Just a few.
Don't feel like, I mean, there's so many school of acting, right? So, and I think all of them are right. So whatever is good for you, that's good for you.
You take, yeah.
But what I have noticed is that if you master being truly yourself in front of the camera, that's it. That's all you need to do. And then if you want to add little flavors to it, awesome. But that's the most trickiest thing to do.
Is to be comfortable in front of a camera.
Just in your own skin and not go, it's looking at me. The eye is looking at me.
Or it's really hard not to, I mean, obviously in this we are looking at it, but it's really hard not to look at it. Especially if it's like a real close-up, you're like, I just looked right in the lens. But definitely.
And just feeling comfortable within your own skin. People always clench up.
Do you know where I think that comes from? I think it comes from the subtlety of being on screen. Everyone's like, oh, it's subtlety. Like, you have to do
I don't believe in that.
You have to do it with one little glance, or can't blink. I've had this stupid advice about being like, you cannot blink. You've got to look at a certain eyeball. You've got to look at a certain thing. And I thought, God, with all of these things, no wonder people are like this by the time that it starts.
I've noticed this in the gym as well, that people have little tics. And I always tell them, don't worry about the tics. Focus on the other actor. Focus on the circumstances.
Yes.
Your body will follow.
Yeah.
Because when we are connected, our body just comes the fuck down.
Yeah. And it's just the whole attention is off you and your inner mind going probably.
And later on, when you master that, then you can start adding technical things of knowing, I know where the camera is, I know what's going to look good, again the key light, so if I do this, it's going to look good and it's going to be more powerful or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Then you can add these little technical bits. But I think at the start, just perfecting you is enough.
Just being natural. That's so true. Do you have any sort of, I don't know if you do actually, because I've read Michael Caine's acting in film.
Oh yeah, he has the eye.
He has the eye thing. Okay, fine. Do you have any other resources? This is probably me putting you on the spot now of what you've possibly read that you think might be beneficial. Or
what's her name? I would have to Google it. There's this lady. She's amazing. That I think she basically in a nutshell is basically be yourself. And be comfortable in front of the camera. Yeah. And when it's, this is why I never say action. I always say in your own time when we are filming, because I feel like action, when people hear action, it's like, and often I've noticed as well that before I even tell them in your own time, they adjust themselves into, okay, now I'm in the scene. I'm like, no, just start from the point you are in. So often the character is exactly the same point as the actor is in that moment. Yes. They don't have to adjust. And I just feel like finding that fine line of just being is honestly the
big
key.
things.
It's what the big guys are doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think we'll Google that and then I'll pop that on the show notes.
Oh, yes.
And then we can just
Yeah.
flick that in there if anyone's got
Absolutely.
if anybody would like to know. I quite like to read it.
Yeah.
Sounds good. How do you sort of, I mean, you do predominantly TV and film, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you network in that vicinity? How do you do that?
Well, first of all, I think if you want to be a film actor, I think you have to truly have love of film.
Yeah, of course.
It
Definitely.
shocks me the amount of actors who's like, I don't watch anything. I'm like, what?
Do you know what I think it is? I think because it's where the money is, and like theatre is difficult to, like, it just doesn't pay as well, and so people go, oh well, I'll go do TV and film then. But like, you have to love cinematography. Like, you have to love it.
You have to love every single aspect of it. So I would often say that if you want to meet filmmakers, so go to film festivals, especially short film festivals that are BAFTA and Oscar qualifying. So you know that the level is good.
Yes.
Go to the openings, the closings, galas and all that of these festivals. Go and see the movies.
Yes.
So then you can go, oh, I saw your movie. It was fucking awesome. And be genuine. Like, don't talk to the guys that you did not like their movies. Talk to the ones you did.
Yeah, because I feel like people always think, oh, I'm just going to say I loved every film.
No.
But you don't love every film.
No, you don't.
And also it's like, it's quite hard to lie when you don't actually like, when you didn't actually agree with the film or you didn't like it. So
why would you want to work with them?
Exactly.
Like, that's just crazy.
Yeah, it is just crazy. And it's just the thing of like, oh, well, it's a job. Well,
no.
You know, I get there's some jobs that you have to take to pay the bills.
Of course.
I understand that.
Well, let that be a really well-paid commercial or a Netflix show or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But talking to people about their work, people can smell it with a mile off if you're not genuine about it. So yeah, definitely right to those.
And I think you want to grab the connection with those filmmakers in that particular moment, because if you go to, I don't know, IMDb and you look at TV directors, they all of them, 99%, would have had a successful short movie in one of those qualifying BAFTA or Oscar qualifying festivals, and that's their next step, either a feature film or a TV job as a director. That's why you want to catch them before they go off, and then you don't really have a connection with them because you're going to have to go through their agent and all that. You have to go through
all the different barriers of different things.
So going to festivals, connecting genuinely, go to make friends. That's the not networking. Just like, I'm gonna make friends and I'm gonna meet people who make fucking cool movies.
Yeah, exactly.
That maybe one day I'll be part of.
Yeah.
Awesome.
People hear the word network and they go, oh my God, I have to talk about myself.
No, talk about them.
I think the best thing about networking is that you talk about them and you say, oh, I really enjoyed this. How did you do this? People love it when you ask questions.
It's so interesting that you actually said that, because I've been to loads of them, and so often do I speak to somebody and go, it's been 10 minutes and they didn't ask me a single question. They don't give a shit about other people, which I find fascinating. You're an actor. Aren't you all about other people?
Yeah, you're all about other human connections.
Absolutely.
Definitely, yeah.
I want to know everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Great. And my last question is what I ask to every guest, which is, what advice would you give to any creative? It's always the worst one.
Prioritize your mental health. There is no race to get there. There is no timeline. You can make a career in your 40s, 50s. Like, focus on yourself. Make sure you're happy. Make sure that you don't... your happiness doesn't depend on your acting. This took me fucking years. Okay. My 20s were very emotional and troublesome because I so wanted it, and I felt like I was fucking good, but I wasn't getting the opportunities. And partially because I'm Polish and can't do accents, so there's always a limitation there. so I was just very frustrated, and it caused me a lot of pain and depression and like, I'm gonna quit. And the amount of times I actually quit, like quit.
Okay.
And then they pulled me back again. And only in my 30s have I just thought, I'm fucking tired of being sad and angry, not with other people, thankfully, but just with the world.
Yeah, it is.
With the world and the injustice. So I went to therapy, which I highly recommend. I went to therapy, and I've decided to focus on different things that bring me happiness. Like stupid fucking things, having 10,000 hobbies that I'm not very good at. Okay?
Yeah, you don't have to be good at every hobby. You don't have to be good at every hobby.
But it gives me joy to paint
not
a bad
every skill
painting.
has to go on the spotlight list.
Absolutely.
Okay?
No. And I focus on my personal life, building relationships, either friendship or your love life, whatever. And then I started to feel more like, oh, I'm actually okay. If I started to accept that this might not work out, and I have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And but this has, like, you can't be bullshitting yourself, because I think life can smell it. But when it's genuine, things just fell into place. And for me, it really took off when I gave birth, actually, to my daughter, because I thought, well, okay, I'm going to be a mom. This is going to be awesome. Why not? And suddenly it was like one big job after the other. And but I was so happy at home that it actually didn't matter whether I got the job. I think people can really, someone said this to me at drama school, is that you can smell desperation, really. And when you're it's like
comfortable,
dating.
that's exactly it. You know when somebody wants you, and actually then the tension goes, and you're like, I'm not interested anymore. It's a horrible thing to say, but it's true. And it's the same thing when you walk into those audition rooms. If you haven't really worked on yourself, and you are this ball of desperate energy that's just absolutely, like, nobody's saying that you can't have passion. You must have passion. But walking into a room and being this ball of like, I need this is going to give me my self-worth, I'm going to be able to prove to everybody that I set out the thing that I was going to do. And
don't put significance on jobs. You know, I hear actors saying all the time, like, if I got this, oh my god, this would be so, like, life-changing for my career. I'm like, no baby,
it doesn't
it
doesn't do that. It does not.
And as well, it's sometimes okay to not be happy on set. I had these moments where I was like, I actually want to go home. I'm not enjoying this. And I felt guilty, because I thought, oh my god, people I worked really hard, but people would kill to be in my position. So you might surprise yourself thinking, when I reach that goal, it's going to be just roses and all that. And it might not necessarily be. So that's why I think having the core of happiness somewhere else, it's crucial. And I don't believe in competition.
No.
I think that's another thing that we are set up to go, like, even like drama school, like, who graduated, who got the agent,
it's so
who got
competitive.
I'm like, why?
No, it's crazy.
This is why I would advise a lot of actors, because my mindset, I was never very competitive, but I think it really solidified when I did a bit of work for casting directors, and I saw the other side of it, and I saw people auditioning for same roles, and I was like, they're so different. All of them look the same. Like tall blondes, blue eyes, whatever, because that was the casting. But everyone has completely different interpretation and flavor to them. So there is no competition.
No. And if it's meant, I do believe if parts are meant for you, you will get it.
100%.
Definitely. Thanks so much. That's been so useful. Thank you.